All right, we got Aundrey Burno from Thug Life in DC, man. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that seen that doc back in the day, they know who he is, man. What's going on, OG? How you doing?
I'm holding on, man. I'm holding on, man. It's a blessing because, man, you the first person never really getting an interview from me. I've been shying away from that social media stuff and interviews and magazines and stuff. So, you know,
Hey, no, I appreciate you, messing with me on this one, man. I appreciate you.
make it count, man. Make it count. What's
So,
good?
yo, so hey, we just gonna get into it, man. Most people who seen the doc, man, they kind of know a little bit about your background. But for people who don't know, man, talk about what it was like, growing up in DC, and like what specific part of DC did you grow up in, like in the '80s and the '90s.
I'm from out of Ward 8. I grew up, lived on 3202, 15th place. So, I hung around Robinson, Congress Park. Them was my stomping grounds growing up in the 80s and 90s. I mean, DC at that time, it was, that was that crack epidemic era, so I kind of saw DC change, from being a little kid playing in the streets or whatever to the Panamanians and the Jamaicans coming to DC trying to take over, whatever the case may be. So I seen what that crack era did, even with my family members, like uncles and cousins and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Man, it was what it was. It was the murder capital, the nation's capital of murders at that time. It was, and you got to think we young. I'm 10, 11, and I'm seeing this coming up. I'm seeing them how they come through Congress Park, how they come through Robinson Place, how they come through 15th Place. These neighborhoods. So for me, it was like the shit was scary, bro. Like for real, it was scary, man. It was crazy.
How did that affect you growing up? Seeing all of that.
It made you, for me, like growing up, like I wanted, like as a kid, I wanted to be Will Smith. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was my idol as a kid. And one time I had did a talent show with this song called "Parents Just Don't Understand," a
Yeah.
Will Smith song. So that was my thing. Like I wanted to be an entertainer. I wanted to be like Will Smith. And then when I was like, had to be like 89. My uncle had got shot, and I seen my uncle get shot 5 times. So it changed me, man. It robbed me of my innocence. I looked at things different after that because to me, my uncles was like statues to me. They were like giants to me. So I always looked at my uncles as like a father figure. They wasn't my uncles. They were like a father figure to me, each one of them. So when I seen that, you a kid. You know what I mean? You a kid, and I never understood the drugs. People selling drugs or robbing and carrying guns. Like I looked away. I was scared of that. But when that happened, it changed me, man. It robbed me of my innocence. So the very thing, the same thing that I dislike, I end up becoming one. You know, like I no longer wanted to be Will Smith. I wanted to be, I wanted to be feared. I wanted to be respected, like the older guys in my neighborhood. Yeah. Because I seen like this is what it was. But the perception, man, the perception for a black kid growing up, not just even in DC, but in New York, Chicago, Cali, whatever the case may be, just a black kid growing up. The perception is from the males that was in charge of our lives. You know what I mean? These males, they shaped us, they mold us. So we was always molded by the males, who we saw as statues or father figures. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. So who was some like what was your home life like? Like we saw, we saw your mom in the doc, we saw your little brother. What was like home life for you like around that time?
Home wasn't grade A poor. You know what I mean? We was cool, but we still lived in, these Section 8 and apartments. We still lived in the projects. Home was like, my nana, my grandmother really was the backbone of our household. All of us lived in this one place on 15th Place, and my mom, my mother, man, she had her thing going on. I never knew my father at that time, my uncles was in the streets, so my aunt, you know, it was structure in the household, and the household was good. It's when you leave the house. Like I'm safe in this house, I'm safe in this house. But once you leave that house, you don't have your grandmother with you. You don't have your uncles or your aunts or your cousins or your mom. You got the streets. And we know what the streets do. You know, the streets have no eyes. The streets have got an appetite. They have no eyes. So they just eat whatever they can eat. But home was good, man. I can't, home was good. It's just streets, man. Once it grab hold of you, it's over with.
You talked about, in '89, you said, your uncle had gotten shot. What was like your real like first taste of like the street life? Like when you first kind of like get into it?
I was 11, and I caught a armed robbery. One of my one of my homies back then, I ain't gonna say his name, his mother was on drugs, and he didn't have a coat, you know what I mean? And we was all joking, you young nigga, we joning on him. He crying, he need a coat, and it was cold as shit at this time. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna get you a coat. So he like, Dre, you gonna give me a coat for real? I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get you a coat. So I had went and bought a Uzi. It was a little fake cap gun from the liquor store. So I bought this fake Uzi, and it was orange. So I painted it black. So man, this nigga, man, we robbed these people, and man, it went all bad, man. Like, we little. So when the dude looking at us, he like, are you serious? Like, you a kid, you a little baby, y'all serious? Because you can imagine how I looked back then. Like, right. I look young now, and I'm 46, and I look young. So at 11, I looked like I was like 9 or 10. Mm-hmm. So we end up robbing these people, and I get the money, and I'm telling, my homie, man, I'm going to buy you a coat. We're going to get you a coat. One thing led to another. We ended up getting locked up for this armed robbery. We went to Little Boys Village, and it was just downhill after that. It was like,
what age did you start carrying a gun?
11, because I caught a charge at 11 for a gun. In school, I had brought a gun to school. I was in a certain neighborhood, and the guy was messing with my girlfriend. They wanted to beat my girlfriend up. So the older guys in the neighborhood, and I'm telling them, like, man, if I go back to school, those boys from 6th Street gonna try to jump me. So they like, they older kids, they like maybe 15, 16 at this time, but they're a little more advanced than me. So they had gave me a gun, and I had went to school, man, pulled a gun out on the guys after school, man. The police came, locked me up. Yeah, that was yeah.
So during this whole time, what's your mindset like? Cause you starting to do, a lot of things, that's, a lot of street type behavior, you starting to change and become a different person. Like what's going through your mind during that time?
At that point in time, or now?
During that point in time.
It's like survival, you're scared, so you're doing things out of fear. Because you've seen what the streets, I've seen what the streets did. I've seen if you weak, I've seen what happened to people that's weak. I've seen where the older guys will put us in their trucks and drive us to other neighborhoods with boxing gloves and make us fight the other little kids that's our age, you know what I mean? And they betting on us. So whoever lose, you the weak link of the neighborhood now. Like, you're going to get messed with. The kids going to pick on you. So for me, it became like I'm acting out of fear. Like I'm scared for real, but I'm gonna do the things, and I'm telling myself like, okay, I ain't gonna let nobody do nothing to me. So I'm gonna do the things to make these people fear me. And it got out of hand. Like, I never wanted to curry I ain't want to be no street nigga or no stuff. Like I told you, I wanted to be Will Smith. It is just not even me. My whole neighborhood. It made us into something that we really wasn't.
How did your mom like know about all the stuff you was kind of getting into it at that early point?
And she knew, and I think she knew, like, I'm losing them, like I'm losing control of my child, like I'm losing them, because now I'm getting put out of school, I'm staying out late, and she's seeing it, she's looking out the window, I'm right there, because I'm in the neighborhood. It's not like I'm far. Like, you just look out the window and you see me, and I know she's like, I'm losing them, like. And one time she was trying to put me away, like I overheard her one night on the phone telling my aunt, like, I'm about to put him away. I have to send him somewhere. Like, I refuse to lose my baby. I'm gonna put him away. And in my mind, I'm thinking my mother don't love me, like she don't care about me. She about to put me away. When in actuality, as you get older, she was trying to save me. She was trying to save me because she's, she come from the same era, the same projects, So when you misguided, it's like these generations, she was properly misguided. I mean, she was misguided. My daddy was misguided. My uncles was misguided. You know, it's bad perceptions or whatever. So you can't expect them to teach. You know, that next generation is like it's a falling cycle. So I end up falling trapped, man. You know what I mean? I end up falling, into that street mentality. And the streets have no rules. People say the streets got rules and laws. The streets has no rules and laws. It has no eyes, man. It eats whatever that comes around it. And I felt into it, man, and I adapted to my environment. I adapted to my environment.
Did you feel like you had any positive role models or influences in your life at that time?
Nah, not one. Even when they thought they was doing good, they was doing bad. Like you can't tell me to go to school, but then when I get out of school, you say, "Hey, hold the pack for me. Go ride in the car with me. Put this book bag on and ride in the car with me." You know what I mean? Like I'm not slow. I know what's in the book bag, but you're an idol to me. You're a statue to me, so I'm cool with that. But then you can't say, "Yeah, Dre, go to school." Man, you better not mess up in school. We're gonna beat your body. You mess up in school. Like, come on, you giving me what is you teaching me?
Do you feel like if you had somebody like that you could look up to in a positive way, do you feel like you would have went down a different road?
I'm Muslim, so I believe, it's the creed is the creed. I believe in the cut of Allah. But I think that if I was given the opportunity to move, or like if I did have, like for instance, the people from the HBO documentary, I think if I had them in my life at that age, I think, I would have maybe have turned out a little different. Because you in your own neighborhood, you don't leave, so you don't know. So when people say, "Oh, y'all knew right from wrong," nah, you can't say that we knew right from wrong. You have to take these kids out of these environments and remove them and send them somewhere else and let them see other things. Because if they born in Ward 8 and they living in Ward 8, that's constantly all they seeing is Ward 8 shit. You know what I mean? You can't tell them about what's going on in Wisconsin because they don't know. So of course, I don't know right from wrong. Nah, I don't know right from wrong. You might know right from wrong because we live in two different worlds, two different environments. So it's easy for you to say, "Hey, what you're doing is wrong. It's a crime." But in my eyes, as growing up, this is survival for us. Like, I'm trying to survive. This is what I'm taught. But if I had those proper, those type of people in my life, of course, I think I would have did good. I would have been, who knows, probably would have been bigger than Will Smith.
So in September 1995, that's when you got charged with shooting the police officer in the neck. What do you remember about that day, man? Like what do you remember about that whole situation?
And it was one of them nights, it was a lot going on in the neighborhood. A lot going on between us and another neighborhood that night. And I had left my men to go somewhere to go take care of something. Mine it's like 2, 3 in the morning maybe. So I'm standing out there and I'm basically looking out for somebody. Like I'm watching somebody's back. I'm watching some people's back. And that night I never, I ain't even see the police car out there. You know what I mean? I'm watching, make sure there's no other cars come past or whatever. And that man was just doing his job, man. That man was where he was supposed to be, doing exactly what he was supposed to be doing, man. And I seen him, like, man, drop your weapon, like, drop the weapon, And it didn't dawn on me that I'm standing there with the gun in my hand. I'm on the payphone. I'm standing on the payphone. I got the dog in my hand, and I'm like, when I seen it was the police, I'm like, ooh, like, fortunately, man, the man was harmed.
So what kind of went through your head when that happened?
What went through my head, I'm like, oh, I can't go back to jail. Like, I'm not going to jail. Like I'm not going to jail. Like, like, this is the police. He's liable to shoot me. Like, I'm not going back to jail. One of them panic situations. It was like a panic situation. Like, I couldn't run because I really didn't have nowhere to run. Or else I would have just ran. But one thing led to another.
What did you do like that night? Like after it had happened?
I left and went back around my neighborhood. And we seeing police cars flying down Alabama Avenue. So they like, it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. So, we out there like, man, police, they like, what the police are going? Like, what happened? And I'm like, man, I gotta roll. Like, I'm about to roll out, man. I'm gonna see y'all tomorrow. So they like, what's up? I'm like, man, I'm gonna holler at y'all tomorrow. And I left.
Did you at the time of it happening? Did you realize the severity of what you had just done?
Nah, I didn't. I didn't until that next morning, because I was actually with Keitra. That next morning, I'm talking to Keitra in her house, so I'm like looking at the news, and it came on the news, so I'm like, man, ain't no way. So when I left out, and I went back around the way, they like, man, something happened last. So I told them, I'm like, man, like ain't no way you did that. I'm like, man, yeah, man, like man, I had to crazy.
When did you when did the police come and like get you for that?
Um, like '96. Like I was on the streets that whole time. You know what I mean? I had came to jail. Like a lot of people don't know, I came to jail for an armed robbery. That's when I was charged as an adult. I left Oak Hill and they charged me with an armed robbery that I ain't had nothing to do with. I knew nothing about. Homicide somehow put some stuff together to get me locked up. So I ended up getting locked up for this armed robbery. So while I'm over to jail, fighting this armed robbery, you know, people got to saying stuff. So they had spoke about a homicide. So when homicide had snatched me up, they they questioning me about a homicide around Symbol City. I'm like, I don't know nothing about it. So they, asked question me about AK-47. So I'm like, I don't know nothing about no AK-47. Like, I don't know nothing about it. So I had went back to the jail. So while I'm at the jail, I'm talking to somebody at the cell bar. So this individual is already locked up for a separate homicide around Robinson. So he like, man, they got me over here for that body. So I'm like, what body? So he like, such and such body. So I'm like, oh yeah. So he like, man, yeah, they got me over here. So I'm talking to him because I know him and we look alike. So I'm like, nah. I say, nah, I did that. So he said, I know. I said, yeah. So they said, why you do it? So I said, nah, man, I'm like, I killed them for such and such. He left. He ended up leaving like 2 days later and went to homicide and told homicide that I, confessed that I did it. And that's when homicide had snatched me up and questioned me about the homicide. You know what I mean? To do whatever. And something else ended up going on. Statements was made by the other people. So they had questioned me about the police shooting. So when they first questioned me about the police shooting, I'm like, I don't know nothing about no police shooting. I was at the Black Hole. I was at the Go-Go. So they was like, well, where you leave? I said, when I left, I went over my girlfriend's house. I went over Keetra's house. They're like, so you ain't had nothing to do with the police shooting? I'm like, nah, I ain't had nothing to do with no police shooting. So when I went back to D.C. jail to the juvenile block, I had wrote a letter, to the streets. And I'm like, listen, man, homicide just snatched me up, questioning me about this police shooting and about the body. So I'm like, yeah, blah, blah. So the person that I gave the letter, I sent the letter to, ended up giving the letter to homicide. See what I'm saying? So when they snatched me back up, they like, you ain't telling us the truth. We believe you had something to do with these homicides and this police shoot. So I'm like, man, I don't know nothing about no homicide, no police shoot. So they like, well, what about this letter? So when I seen the letter, I'm like, damn, how they get this letter? I'm thinking they catching my mail all the time. The dude I wrote the letter to had gave the letter to homicide. So they like, listen, we're not about to play no games with you, Dre. We know these shooters. We know what's going on with John Symbol City. We know about these shooters. So, like, what's up? Because he like, everybody naming his letter. And then the DH, they like, everybody naming his letter, Dre, they going to jail. Like, yeah, they about to get charged with conspiracy. Every name you got in this letter about who to do this to, who to do that to. Like, we know what you're telling them to do. You telling them to, to harm certain witnesses, whoever you think telling. So I end up confessing to, to the homicide and the shooting. Because I'm like, okay, well, if my friends don't get in trouble, I just tell you I did it. So they like, nah, we don't want you to just say you did. We want to know why you shot this officer. But basically, they wasn't even worrying about the homicide. They like, we don't even care about that. We worrying about this police. You're like, why you shoot this police officer? So I end up, confessing. But even before I even confessed to him, my lawyer had came to see me. So he like, listen, I want to show you something. So he showed me a video. He like, you might be getting charged with this police shoot. So I'm seeing a video where somebody had made somebody's talking a homicide, and they like, yeah, this what happened. We had a shootout, this and that. I gave Dre the gun. Dre did this. Dre did that. Dre did this. Dre did this. I did this. I did that. So I already seen, what Slim did. So my lawyer like, listen, you might be getting charged with this police shoot. So it's like 2-3 weeks later, that's when they snatched me up, and but I ended up going to trial. Like, I don't have no co-defendants. Like, nobody got charged with me on none of my cases. I always was by myself when I went to court. When I went to trial, when I got, I had no co-defendants. And I ended up going to trial on it. I beat the police shooting. Like I wasn't convicted for shooting Mr. Anderson. I was convicted on other stuff. That's how I ended up with 25 to life. And then I went to trial for the homicide, and I blew trial, and they gave me 45 to life for the homicide. And the other homicide, they just like, they never charged me with. Or the armed robbery, they dismissed the armed robbery.
So when this happens, do you get sent to the juvenile block, or you get sent to adult prison?
I was on the juvenile block, but then when I turned 18, they put me in they put me on the adult block. I was up on the adult block, and from the adult block, I went to Lord.
So what was your time like on the juvenile block? We kind of talked about it in the doc, but from your perspective, what was your time like down there?
Gladiator school. Gladiator school. It was school. It was school. It was preparing me for what's to come 20 to 30 years later. Because I couldn't think this far back then. There was no way you were going to tell me I would be still in prison 30 years later. It was just survival, man. It was just a bunch of kids trying to be men, trying to be, trying to be something to ward off whatever to come being on the juvenile block, because it was rough. So, you had to be one way, man, or it's going to be all bad.
What how in the documentary, you had talked about, how like y'all would kind of test people that came in the juvenile block. Like you would take somebody tray and see if they'll fight you for it. Like how was that something that happened a lot?
Of course, yeah, that went on. That was going on before I even came on the juvenile block. But everybody got tested up there. Some failed the test, some passed the test. Everybody's trying to be tough. Everybody's trying to show that they're not a sucker. And some they became men over the years. You know what I mean? Like, that was a bad place, man. You got all these juveniles in one environment. And it was bad for a lot of people. It was actually bad for all of us. You know what I mean? It was bad for all of us, but you just trying to prove yourself. You're trying to live up to this image, to this height. Some got took it for granted. Some got some had it bad. Even now to this day, some that's why a lot of them probably they say little things about me because of what went on 30 years ago. Me, I'm like, man, come on, man, we was kids. I don't care about that stuff, man. I forgive and forget, you know what I mean? Because there was time where I had got stabbed on the juvenile block, and later on throughout our being, like being in the federal system, I ended up being in a cell with them. We joke and laugh about it, like, man, remember when we was young? I'm like, man, that ain't about nothing. I ain't tripping off of that. But then you got some who still harbor ill feelings right now to this day. So, they get on their little platforms or whatever, and they, say little slick stuff or whatever the case may be. That's why that's why I shy away from social media. Like, I'm not about to be going back and forth on no social media, man. I was young, I'm so far ahead right now, and it's like I got a whole different outlook on life, a whole different perspective of things. It changes you, man. It changes you. Like, if this place don't change you, you're just a messed up individual.
I wanted to ask, man, because I wanted to ask if you would remember a situation. I talked to somebody, man, my man Eon Williams from the DC Blacks. He had talked about how y'all were in Cedar Knoll one time, and you and somebody else had kind of like played with his food, and he said he had to come address you, man, and some got physical.
Who?
Eon Williams from the DC Blacks.
I never heard of him, bro. I don't even know him.
Oh, so you don't remember that going down?
Nah, I don't even know him. I don't even know him. Cedar Knoll?
Yeah, Cedar Knoll.
Nah, ain't no way. Nah. And he addressed me?
Yeah, he said that you and another individual played with his food.
Nah. How you gonna play with somebody's food in Cedar Knoll? You know how old I was in Cedar Knoll? Yeah, you know how old I was in Cedar Knoll?
How old?
Man, I was 11 years old. 12. I went to Oak Hill when I was like 13.
Basically, from your perspective, that didn't happen.
Nah, not at gunpoint. Not at gunpoint. I don't know people, bro. I don't know people. People say things about, I don't know people. Anybody know me that been around me, man, they gonna tell you Dre is very respectful. Like, he a high head when I was coming up, but nah, I don't have them type of problems, like beating me up. No, nah, ain't nah. That nah. I'm too cool for that, man. You know. Then I'm Muslim. Yeah. Like I always been Muslim. So especially in here, but seating no, nah, I don't know nothing about that.
You was just telling me, man, how did the HBO people come to you, man, and put you in the doc? Like, how did they come talk to you about that?
They had came over to jail, and at this time, I was down South One. I was in a hole. Me and OG, you know, few guys, Tweet, all of us. We was in South One. That's the hole, and they was just doing an interview. The project started off as black males being in prison, incarcerated, or whatever the case may be. So Daphne had came to see me. You know, she used to have me walking through the jail with the ward. So the ward, like, I want you to meet somebody. So Daphne, you know, I'm talking to her, and she, you know, talking, and she's like, you know, like, funny, like, you know, in the ward, Miss Britt, like, at that time, she's like, yeah, but he did this. So she asked me what I was locked down for. So I lied. I was like, nah, somebody got assaulted in the war, like he did it. So I'm like, I ain't do it. So she said, yeah, that's why he down. He bad. Like he bad. He like one of the baddest ones. He's a problem child. So Daphne, like, you know, she just like, you're a little too cute. Like you're a cute little kid to be this bad. And I'm like, I ain't bad. So and it just went from there. And she was like, you want to talk to me? I'm like, talk to you about what? She's like, I'm a film producer. Like I blow back with that. So I'm like, I ain't talking to you. That's hot. So she's like, she's like, nah, there's nothing wrong. You can. So I had went to holler at the old head named Tiny. So when I came out for rec, I'm hollering at Big Tiny, and I'm like, man, these peoples want to talk. Or he's like, what they want to talk to you about? Like, I don't know. He's like, go ahead and do it. He's like, talk to them. You know what to say and what not to say. So they came back, and we, you know, they had contacted some people of HBO or whatever, and they was like, yeah, interview them, because I was saying some stuff, and they was like, they was intrigued by what I was saying. At that time, I was young. I was like 17, so they like, for you to be that young, like, you're pretty smart, like you have a different outlook on life to be that young. And I actually gave it the name Thug Life in DC. It was called something else, but I actually had them change the name to Thug Life in DC. And that's what a lot of people don't know. Like, that wasn't the original name. I gave it that name.
Do you remember what it was called at first, or you don't remember?
I don't remember. It was something crazy, it was something else, but, you know, the Thug Life in DC came from me, and that's why they, like, the people of HBO was like he's very creative. Like, he's pretty creative to come up with that type of concept or name to actually fit the documentary. And she was like, well, it's really, like, they was trying to move it away where it won't directly be just about me. See what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, talk to my friends I'm like, talk to my guys on the Juvenile block. Like, there's other people you can talk to. So they like, oh, you think they'll talk to me? So I'm like, yeah, I write them a kite. You know what I mean? I'm like, so she's like, you the boss. So I'm like, yeah, I am the boss. Like, I run this Juvenile block. So I'm like, go talk to, you know, the other kids. They'll talk to you. And that's how a lot of the other ones became a part of the documentary.
Okay, so they wasn't really messing with it at first, but then once you kind of like stamped it and said it's cool, that's when they kind of started. They was cool being a part of it.
They went around and interviewed him, was talking to him, you know.
How did they get to talk to your mom and your brother? Like, did they kind of approach them and say?
Yeah, it became personal. Like, it became, like I said, they didn't want it to be direct. I guess the people who over them, like, okay, make it about him, but don't make it about him. So they, you know, Mark and Daphne, like, nah, like, this kid, like, we see something in this kid, like, we really want to focus on this kid right here. And they just went around the neighborhood and they was asking, like, can we talk to your mom? Can we talk to you? You know, do you have a girlfriend? And I'm like, yeah, you can talk to my mom. And that's when they went around and was talking to my mother. And
did they? How long did it take them to film all of that?
Like 3 years, man. It took because they had to wait for me to be finished with trial because I was still in court. So when they was filming it, I was still in court for I think the police shooting at that time. So when I had blue trial, you know, they came down Lawton to see me, but I still had the homicide case that I was about to fight. I was going to trial on, so they had to wait for my whole court situation to be over with before they even air it. You know what I mean? Like, the people at HBO was like, we not about to air no HBO special while this kid is still in trial, or, you know, he's still fighting this court situation. So, because at that time I was facing like 120 some years if I would have got convicted on everything, those other cases too. But they waited till like 99 when I got found guilty and got sentenced, and that's when I think they aired it.
Did you ever get to like watch it?
Nah, I did, but I didn't. Like I had cut it off. I was in a position where I could watch it. So when I seen it do, I cut it off. I was like, I'm not watching it. I'm not watching it.
Why didn't you want to watch it?
Nah, I don't know. I just didn't feel comfortable with watching it. I mean, I heard everything about it. I read what people said on the blogs, and it kind of offended me. When they said things about my mom, or like, this kid should never be let out of prison. Who raised him? He's the definition of a thug. When you speak of thug life, you think of him or Tupac. It kind of made me. It kind of put it. That HBO documentary was kind of like a gift and a curse. The gift was that I had a voice to speak to people, and it's cool when people write or send messages like, man, my son ain't in prison because of you. Or like niggas in here, they be like, bro, I watched that HBO documentary when I was a kid, man. And some people took it and went the opposite way than what I took. You see what I'm saying? Like that's the good of the documentary. That I have a voice and I was able to help people. I was able to mentor kids and women that single moms. But the curse came when you know how it is, man. You got a little status or whatever the case. Like I don't put myself on that pedestal, but when they say, oh, he's a celebrity, like he's famous, he's these people talk about him. It make other people look at you in envy and jealousy, and that's where it comes from. And I don't like that. Like I'm cool, man. I'm a cool nigga. I don't like when the hate people get to saying stuff on social media about you. Like, you know what I mean? Like your man. Right. I don't know gang. Like I don't know gang. Like who? People get to saying they done stuff to you. You had altercations and offending my family, making comments like that ain't cool, man. That ain't cool. So I don't. I ain't watching, man.
Did they ever like try to spin the block on you and try to like do a follow up on what was going on with you?
Yeah, they were supposed to do a Thug Life Part 2 because I had went to court in 23. If the judge would have let me go, they was going to do a Part 2. And but the idea that I had for the HBO Part 2 was going to be beautiful, man. I was trying to pull everybody in. I ain't selfish. I was trying to pull certain individuals in. Like, listen, we're going to ask for this because the joint won a Grammy. I said a Grammy, an Emmy Award. So I'm like, man, I'm about to pull everybody in with me, and we all gonna eat. Like we was gonna do some big things, but they denied me in 23. So they like, well, it's not really a story, Dre, until you come home. So we just waiting for my time.
Did you kind of like, were you nervous at all at how like people would view you? Like because I know you talked about how a lot of people took a lot of like kind of like they used you and saw how this probably wasn't the way to go versus like other people who would look at it and be like, oh, he a thug, he whatever. Did that matter to you? Like how people was gonna view you off that documentary and they didn't get to know you personally?
Nah, I don't care what nobody say, man. One thing about me, I'ma do what works for me. I'ma always go outside the box. It became a problem where people look at it in a negative way. Like the message was that, hey, don't follow this, don't follow my footsteps. Like I tell my little cousins and my brothers, like don't follow that. This ain't cool, man. Like the streets has no value. It has no morals or principles. Like don't follow me. I was forced into this. You know what I mean? Like a lot of these kids, they don't really have to be in the streets, man. They in it for the glorification of it. Like it's a cool thing. But my whole thing was like, man, I'm trying to prevent people from coming in this. Like, this is death, man. This is a graveyard. This is, we ain't number dead men walking in this place. Like, this ain't nothing cool, man. That's what the whole message of Part 2 was gonna be about.
I wanted to ask, how was like seeing your brother and your mom come up in there, when they was visiting you. What are those visits like? Is it like how often do they get to see you, or were they able to talk to you?
Now or back then?
Back then.
And they would ask us to come see me. Like my mom always come down Lorton and visit me, or come up to jail to visit me. It was hurtful to hug my mom, like literally when Tupac said hugging on my mama from a jail cell, like literally I'm hugging my mama from a jail cell. Yeah. I'm mentoring my little brother, you know. Like that was real. That was hurtful to be in belly chains and shackles and sitting in front of my mother. You know, I have to hug her with belly chains on, but this my mother, so yeah, that shit hurt, man. It hurt.
Was it hard for you to have your brother see you like that since he was so
Yeah, it was
young?
hard, man. It was hard because I know what it did for me when I used to go down Lord and see my uncle. You know what I mean? And I knew what type of mentality or what it did to me to see my uncles like this. So for a kid to see his big brother like this, I can only imagine what it was going to do to him. And that's what I feared, and it did exactly what I didn't want it to do to him. It turned him into a split image.
How so kind of like following up on that, like what ended up happening with your brother?
And he in now. He ended up catching the case, man. You know, they railroaded him or whatever, blackballed him, man. And I think he got convicted because of me. Because in 13, they had a newspaper article, and they said, child star follows in Big Brother's footsteps. Like, they didn't talk nothing about my little brother in these newspaper articles. They just talked about me. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like I hurt my little brother. Like he was convicted because of me.
How did that sit with you?
Oh man, it hurt me, man. It frustrated me, it angered me because it's like it made me a villain. Like you know what I mean? Like that HBO documentary made me a villain, man. Like I got shots coming from everywhere. Man, I got people coming from all over the place. You know, it made me a target. I'm cool with it. I can handle it. It's good. You know, I can handle it. But it's like you never heard my side of the story. That's why I respect you for, I respect you, bro, because nobody heard my side of the story. You thinking I'm one way. When in actuality, like, come on, man. I'm a human being. I'm somebody's child. Like, I'm somebody's father. I'm somebody's, you know.
Yeah, no, for sure. Absolutely, man. How did how was it when you was in Lorden, my bad, I just want to touch on that. What was your time like in Lorden?
It was a learning experience, you know. I was good, you know. People knew me. They knew me from the streets. You know, like the old heads, they knew me from the streets. So when I got there, it was like, okay, nigga, we gonna teach you this. So you know, they told me about Islam. They made me read books. You know, they told me how to write a decent letter, how to read a dictionary. You know, they schooled me. And this type of life, this prison type of life, they taught me how to be a man in prison. It was cool. I ain't had no problems. I wasn't a victim, like most of the younger guys was when they came out there that was, you know what I mean, that had problems.
Didn't you like end up getting like moved once like Lorden shut down?
Yeah, they ended up putting me in the state prisons.
Okay, were you still in the DC area or no?
Nah, I was in Virginia.
So you were still able to kind of like see your family often?
Nah, man, it was time I ain't see my family in like almost 10 years.
How has it been like like keeping a relationship like with your mom and everything while you was locked up?
I mean, all you could do is write letters. She not gonna write no letters. And I ain't gonna write no letters, but on the phone call her.
What ended up like happening with your mom?
My mom, she passed away in May
Of this year?
last year. Yeah, she passed away, man.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah.
So how was it, dealing with that, being locked up?
I don't know. I'm still trying to deal with it. It hit different when it's yours. You might have somebody else that lose a loved one or lose a family member. You hear what they go through, but for to lose somebody of their type of and that's it's like I'm gonna put it this way. It's like a house. Like you've been going to this house for. I'm 46, so I've been going to this house for 46 years straight. I know everything about this house. You know what I mean? I find my confidence in this house. I know everything inside this house, whether it's a scratch on the wall, everything. This house raised me 46 years, and I've been coming to this place every day for 46 years. And then there's just one day I went to this place and it was gone. It's gone. It's not even there no more. So you feel empty. You feel lost. And sometimes you feel like what the fuck am I even living for? To lose a mother under these conditions. You try to find some type of peace. And I'm Muslim, so I understand the cut of Allah. I understand death. But, man, it's like, man, like I lost this house, like I have nothing. I have no emotions. I have no feelings. Even today, man. I find myself this trying to do things, not to think about it. Like right now, like I still have my mom address, her phone. I'm still on my contacts. I can't even delete it. That's just something to hold on to. But it hurt, man, because and then I fall myself and I get down on myself because I'm like, man, had I not caught that incident report, this maybe I'd have been home. You know what I mean? I would have been at least see her go off. But to hear her, because she passed away at her house, she passed away of cancer. So I didn't understand it when they was like, when my little sister was like, man, they gonna let her transition out. So I'm like, what you mean transition out? It's like, we gonna lose her. So she just wanna be home when she go. But it's like losing everything, and yeah, you got people around you, I got my sister, I got my wife, I got Keitra, I got my sister, and I got family, but it's different, because I'm used to calling this lady, man. I'm used to calling her, and I can't call her no more. Tough, it's still tough now.
Do you feel like when you eventually, get out, you being a changed man now, do you feel like your mom would be proud if she see like the growth that you've, shown over the years?
Of course, she always would say that, she know how passionate and sincere I am with Islam. And it hurt me because even on her deathbed, I'm like, Mom, you ready? Like, take your shahada, convert to Islam. And, she being stubborn. She was like, nah, I ain't going to do it. So, I mean, I have to. Like, I wrote the book, Defeating the Bully. Then I wrote another book called When a Lion Cries. So, this is for my mom, and I got to do some good. And it hurt because it's like, I don't know. For instance, like when people post stuff on social media, whatever, my mom reads this stuff. That's where the disrespect, that's where the frustration coming in. Because my mom, she reads the stuff what these people be saying. You know what I mean? And it's like, come on, man, my mom got to read this stuff. She not going to, she don't care. But instead, she'd be like, babe, these guys are saying this, saying that. She's like, I don't pay no mind. Like my sister, she'll respond back to it. But, Keitra, Keitra like me, she not even going to respond back. But, my mom hearing this stuff, you know what I mean? Like it was one lady, she said, even a mother couldn't love you. Like, come on, be for real, lady. Like my mother got to read this stuff. But all I got to do is stay positive and execute my plan and do this for her and basically for her and the youth.
Kind of like following up on that, you had mentioned Keitra. How did that like how was it like maintaining the relationship with her? Especially we saw like in the doc, that was your girlfriend. Like what's that relationship status like today?
Still my girl, still my woman, but you got to compromise. I don't complicate things for her. You know what I mean? I don't complicate things for her. We got a good relationship. At the end of the day, that's my twin, that's my friend, so we good.
How hard was it, on her, being, having you, be behind, the wall for so long?
And part of it was a disappointment because she was young. You gotta think she was young back then, and even throughout the years, it's a little frustration because it's like, damn, like I want him here, I need him here, and he's not there, and he's not here. Like you used to somebody, like I'm used to her, like I know her. I've been knowing her since she was 14, so I'm used to it. But it's just, you got to balance it out. You got to let her do her sometimes. Then you know how it goes, man. Then they'll take their little pat shots, people say things on social media about her or whatever, but she all right, she good. She a tough girl.
So I want to ask, man, wrapping everything up. I want to talk about, you, man. Like how have you like, because a lot of people, the last time they've seen you was, from the documentary, and that was, 30, that was almost 30 years ago. Talk about,
Right.
how you've changed as a person and how you've grown and like, your status today, like when you hope to, get out and, just the different man you are, because you're not the same man you were when Thug Life in DC came out. So talk a little bit about
Nah,
that.
I matured. I grew. And inshallah, I'll be home in a couple of months. But I grew. I look at things different now. You know what I mean? I understand the value of things. I understand the value of life. I understand the value of being a human being, of being a Muslim. So I try to practice what I preach. Like I'm telling you, I'm Muslim. So of course I'm gonna pray 5 times a day, and been doing it for like 15 years straight. So what I am, who I say I am. However I present myself to you, that's what you're gonna get. I ain't never been fake. I've been real all my life, Zach. I ain't never been fake. I keep it cool. I keep it respectful. You know, I understand. My whole thing now is like I have to grab the youth. Like I got to get out of here. I have to show the youth their purpose, help them find their purpose in life, because that's what's going on out there. They don't know their purpose, so they running crazy out there. Like I got to get out of here and show them, like, listen, man, especially the ones that's Muslim. Like, come on, bro, like y'all gotta pray. There's no way you can say you Muslim and y'all not praying. You know, even with the women, like you can't say you Muslim and you walking around here without your hijab on. You know, like what is you doing? Like what are you doing? So I have to. Yeah, I gotta get out of here. I gotta help. That's my purpose. That's my aim. You know, with the books I wrote, like Defeating the Bully, it was a little girl who had committed suicide in Texas because she was being bullied over something she did, and she ended up killing herself. You know, then there was a little boy in Ohio who killed himself, and I'm like, I see people being bullied every day. I was a bully at one point in time. I done got bullied, you know, as a kid. So for a person to think that the only result of that is to commit suicide or self mutilation, like that touched me. You know what I mean? So this is now I put myself out there. It's like, you know, now I'm an advocate for that. Like I'm gonna speak to the youth about being bullied. Like I have to save them. Like I got y'all. But even in here, you know, I just try to stay positive. You know, I used to indulge in things. I used to be, you know what I mean, get high. But now, you know, I'm older now. Even in my 30s, I was more mature. Like, okay, I see things a little different now. You know, like I don't want to spend the rest of my life in it. Even like with the assistant chief of police, she wrote a recommendation that's like, you know, don't let him out. We don't want him back in D.C. He should spend the rest of his life in prison. And that bothers me, you know, for somebody to speak like that about me that don't even know me. Like you haven't had one conversation with me in here. You don't know what I've been doing in prison. I've been mentoring families. You know, I've been paying for funerals. I've done a lot of good stuff in here that the average person on the streets didn't even do. So for you to say that about me and you don't even know me, like, oh, I don't hate police. It's like I don't have a hatred towards policemen. Like that incident that took place, you know, it was an unfortunate, bad situation. You know, like I ain't like, come on, nah.
Yeah, and that's why, man. That's why we do this, man, because we're trying to make sure we trying to let people see the real you, man. You know, people judging you off of something that you did when you was
Yeah, then you're looking at a
16.
kid, first of all. You're looking at a 17-year-old, 18-year-old speaking. So you're going to, if you ask me a question at 16 years old, you're going to get a 16-year-old response. Right. You ask me a question at 25, you're going to get a 25-year response. You ask me a question at 45, 46, you're going to get a 46-year response. Because if I respond to you at 46 like I did at 16, then something ain't right. Like it's hard to maintain, even in this place. Like prison don't rehabilitate you. That's what the people have to understand. Prison don't rehabilitate you. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of strength, a mental strength, spiritual strength, emotional strength, and a good supportive family cast for a person to change in here. Because niggas do shit on the streets and they come in here and do the same thing. Like the other day we was speaking, the man was speaking, and I said everybody want to get out of jail, but to go get out of jail to do what? What you going to do? If you don't have a plan, then you ain't gonna do nothing but end up right back in here.
I want to, I always want to give you your opportunity, man. Like, if it, what is there anything else, that everybody needs to know about, Aundrey Burno and who you are now, man, and like your plans, for when you get out of here. Like, talk a little bit about, anything else anybody needs to know about you.
We're gonna keep the plans a secret because it's gonna be a beautiful thing.
Okay, all right, for sure.
I'm Malcolm X of my generation. This gonna be a beautiful thing. We got to keep the plans a secret. But like I got a lot of things lined up. I got a lot of people supporting me, waiting on me to come out of prison. And one thing, I done a lot of things in here. Like I wrote a lot of things in here that even Hollywood producers and celebrities. I'm not even gonna name names because they might, but there's celebrities and Hollywood producers, big Hollywood producers who took things that I've done, and I signed off on it. I gave them the okay for it, and they made it into great things. Whether it was they done some great things out of the things that I came up with, ideas I came up with. But these are the same people who wouldn't even speak on my behalf. You know what I mean? I'm gonna say one name, Claire Fleming. You know what I mean? She took a poem I wrote, and this poem is doing good. And the sister from Black Panther, she, they did this animated film on a poem I wrote, And all I was saying, like, listen, you can have it. I don't want to care about the poem. Like, y'all can have it. I signed the rights over to him. And I'm just like, speak on my behalf. Like, help me get out. And there's other celebrities who sent messages like, man, you're very talented. We like this, this little sitcom script you wrote. But I'm like, come on, man. Like, y'all take our talent, but you won't aid and assist us and, help us get out of prison. Like, that'd be crazy. There's a lot of talent in here. It's a lot of talent in here.
Hey, well, hey, like I said, man, I always appreciate you, sitting down with me, man. I don't want to, hold you up too long. I know we running low on time, man, but I just want to say thank you for sitting down with me, OG. You know what I'm saying? We want to make sure we get your story out there, man.
Yeah, man, it's all for dua for me, man. I'll be home soon, inshallah. I'll be out there soon. We're going to link up, man. We're going to do some nice things, some positive things, man. We're going to change the narrative of these streets with these youth.
Yes, sir. All right, Aundrey Burno. Appreciate you, man.
I love y'all, man. See y'all soon. Salam alaikum to the Muslims, everybody, man. Y'all be safe, man. Take care. I see y'all when I get there.